Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. If it wasn't 8 a.m., I would definitely have a beer in my hand for this doozy of a trade. Another huge trade just around the draft for Bill Armstrong last year. He trades Connor Geeky and JJ Moser for Sergachev this year. 2 days, one day before the draft, trades Josh Doan and Michael Kesselring for JJ Peterka to the Buffalo Sabres. Peterka, 6 feet tall, 189 pounds, 23 years old for this power forward winger. Peterka is a big, confident, natural goal scorer. Can you name me a big natural goal scorer on Utah currently? No, you can't. Maybe it's Iginla. Maybe it's Cole Doan. Maybe it's Daniel Boot. But as a developed, NHL ready, already done it in the NHL goal scorer, this is JJ Peterka. Had 27 goals, 68 points in 77 games played this past season. Last season, he had 28 goals for 50 points. And his first year in the league, 12 goals, 32 points in 77 games played. He signs an extension with Utah along with the trade, 5 years, $7.7 million. A little bit rich, but we're entering this new world where the salary cap is rising exponentially every offseason. In free agency, this would have got him for sure over $8, maybe $9 million. He was a restricted free agent, so unrestricted free agency, if he was in that category, definitely 8 or 9. If you want this production, you're looking at higher dollar numbers. So to get him at 7.7 in the open market, it's pretty good. Although he now becomes the second highest player on Utah behind Sergachev. So he's making more than Keller and Gunther. Cooley still needs to sign a contract. For sure, I think Cooley is going to get more points than Peterka. So you're probably looking at an 8 or 8.5, maybe $9 million contract for Cooley, who's eligible to sign a contract starting July 1st. But back to Peterka, drafted in 2020 in the second round. Josh Doan was drafted in the second round a year later. And look at the progression of Peterka already. This is the pedigree of being drafted in the second round. I always harp on our second round bus. I hate using that word, but Julian Lutz, drafted in the second round, also from Germany, also friends with Peterka. Maybe Lutz gets his behind in gear and performs well. Maybe he could perform better and maybe grab a spot for Utah. But Julian Lutz, Fedotov in Russia, another second round pick, hasn't amounted to anything. And then we'll get to Josh Doan later. But back to Peterka, he competes hard. He's got that dog in him. He's got a tremendous release. He loves to score. He knows where to go in the offensive zone to score. And when the puck's on his stick, more than likely it's going in the back of the net. He confidently and definitively plays in the top 6. It's not a question mark. So that fills in that role in that second line for that top 6 scoring big winger. If you keep all the lines the same, maybe he plays with Hayden and Schmaltz. But we look at what happened a couple weeks ago in the World Championships for Team USA. Keller, Cooley, and Tage Thompson obliterated that tournament. They had immediate chemistry. So maybe Peterka becomes that Tage Thompson-like player. Peterka and Thompson are similar players, even though Thompson obviously is the better player. But Peterka fills in that big body role, scoring role to complement Cooley and Keller. So maybe we see that as a top line for Utah moving forward. He can break out even more, Peterka can, 35 goals. Some people say he might regress. His shooting percentage was a bit high. Even if he regresses, what's he regressing to? 25 goals? Like, that's pretty good for the Utah team. Obviously, for 7.7, you want him to eclipse 30. And I think he will, play with a more competitive team, a more skilled team, a team that plays the right way. They play defense first, so your morale isn't being brought down with all these goals against. They're pretty tight games, and so maybe he could perform well playing in the Utah Mammoth top 6. Moving to who we lost, Josh Doan and Michael Kesselring. For me, I'll do objectively first, and then I'll go to personal and subjective at the end. I'm pretty sure no one cares about that, but objectively, Josh Doan was never projected to be a top 6 player for Utah. For me, I was fine with him being a third line power forward winger, being that sort of Lawson Krause type player, but there was a spot for Doan in the top 6 this whole season with Utah. It was a revolving door for that second line wing position. Like I said, that was empty. You know, we were trying Carconi, trying Michelli, trying Yamamoto, and still Josh Doan couldn't elevate his game to grab that spot, even though it was open. I think maybe that's why Bill Armstrong was like, you know what, the spot was there. He didn't take it. I need a solidified goal scorer, big body guy who could just take that hole by the reins and be that bull in a China shop type of player, which Utah doesn't have. He could be a sort of Tage Thompson, Draisaitl, McKinnon type of player. He's still young at 23 years old. For Kesselring, he's very underrated, and I think Buffalo's going to be surprised. I think a lot of people on the East Coast are going to be surprised. Kesselring is better than Josh Doan. I think he's a great piece for Buffalo to get. I'm a bit, I'm surprised Bill Armstrong walked away from Kesselring, but to get a quality type of caliber player in Peterka, you got to make some losses. But I have nothing bad things to say about Kesselring. He's big, he can move, he's got a great wrist shot, he's got all the tools, he could fight, he's gritty, he's hard to compete against. It's just, he needs to work on just being consistent with all those things. He shows flashes of all those great things, but game in and game out, he just needs to be that player. And he struggled a bit this season to be consistent. When we were decimated on the blue line, Kesselring got promoted to top 4 pairing minutes, and he succeeded. Without Kesselring, I think this team would have been way down in the standings. So he could play up high in your pairings. For me, I thought in the future he would be a great, perfect third pairing defenseman, because he's not a third pairing defenseman. He could be a great second pairing guy, but that's what depth is, to have a second pairing guy on your third pair. So to move on from Kesselring, that's a great player to lose. I thought for sure I would have been more happy if they traded Lamoureux instead of Kesselring. I think I like what Kesselring brings more than Lamoureux, but you got Lamoureux and Simashev battling for spots next year, and now Kesselring's spot is wide open. Probably Valimaki will be sent on waivers to Tucson, traded, or just moved on from. So now there's kind of 2 spots open on the defense side of things. So now I'll get to the personal side of it. I really hope this trade doesn't disrupt the locker room. Kesselring and Doan were best friends with Cooley. They were all over social media together. This Utah team is a very tight-knit brotherhood. And so when these trades happen, it's like, I really hope it doesn't disrupt the locker room, because that's a very special place, but I don't think it will. And I loved Shane Doan. He was one of my favorite players growing up, watching the Coyotes. So to have his son on the team I cheer for was great. It was gravy. I love that idea. I love the idea of a Ginla's son and Doan's son, 2 of my favorite players growing up, cheering for their sons on my favorite team. Like, that was a dream. And now, unfortunately, that dream is dead for Doan. And honestly, I feel sorry for Doan. He's got to move across the country. He loves Arizona. His whole family lives in Arizona. He always visits Arizona. He was there like last week for a community event. He's going to be on the East Coast in Buffalo pretty much alone, but his dad works for Toronto, about, 2-hour drive if there's no traffic, maybe 1.5-hour drive if there's no traffic. If there's traffic, could be a 4 to 5-hour drive, but at least his dad's there in the East Coast in the same division. But it must be hard for Josh. His dad was never traded, so obviously it's new for the family. For me, I've been through this a lot. You gotta not be emotionally attached to these players, and I know Utah loves every single one of their players. Like, there's this whole donor community of, girls and guys. They drink Red Bulls. I don't do too much of social media, but they love Josh Doan. They named their fan club after Doan, so you can't, it's hard. That's why I never buy player jerseys anymore. The last player jersey I bought was Domi. That Keller All-Star jersey in my videos was a gift from a subscriber. So yeah, like these hard trades, I've been through it a lot of times. Domi was a favorite player of mine. He got traded. Dvorak, Garland, Kemper, Chikrin. I mean, at this point, I'm pretty numb to it. Objectively, I think this trade makes Utah way better. It's a trade they needed. It's a player they do not have, a true power forward, big scorer who could put the puck in the net. Doan was getting so many chances on that line with McBain and Krause. That line was getting so many chances. They couldn't put the puck in the net. And I said that in the season review, was saying it all season. They had so much trouble scoring. They got to just put the puck in the net. And enough of this, feel good morale of, oh, look, their analytics are good. They're getting the chances. Just wait, just wait. Like, no, now we just got to put the puck in the net. And to get a natural goal scorer for $7.5 million for 5 years, so that takes him to 28 years old, fits the core perfectly. He's developed. He's already NHL ready. He scored nearly 30 goals twice in the NHL. Like, there's no development here. You just inject him into your lineup and your goal scoring should go up. And hopefully he has that chemistry that Tage Thompson did with Keller and Cooley at the World Championships for Team USA. And yeah, it's a big one. We're obviously all going to have to sit on this. It's very tough to move on from Doan and Kesselring, but Bill Armstrong, he's a monster, this guy. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.